Hello dear students, welcome once again back to the virtual class of political science. So today we are going to continue with the same chapter, the organs of the government, that is the legislature. And in this topic, we are going to discuss about the functions of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha together. Right? So legislative, executive, financial, judicial, electoral and constituent functions of both we are going to discuss together. Okay, so after completing this, we'll discuss about the functions of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and after completing both, we'll make a comparative study of Lok Sabha and House of Representatives and Rajya Sabha and the Senate. We can compare it. So for understanding both the subjects properly, we need to make the study clear separately regarding Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, House of Representatives and the Senate. So before I start, I'd like to request you all, those who have not subscribed my channel till now, please do subscribe it and share it among your friends so that it can reach out to those students, those who definitely feel that these tutorials will be helpful for them. Okay, so let's start with today's class. So let's start with the legislative, executive, financial, judicial and electoral constituents. So in the previous class also I taught you about the functions of legislature, that was overall functions of legislatures of the world, but today we are particularly going to deal with the function of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So first one is legislative function of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. As you all know that laws are passed in the legislature. Laws are passed in the parliament by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Once the bills are being passed from both the houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and assented by the president, it becomes an act. Before that, it is called a bill. Okay, how this process continues? Like you see that along with Lok Sabha, in Rajya Sabha also the bills can be introduced, but maximum 90, that means almost all the 90% of the bills are introduced in Lok Sabha and it is passed from Lok Sabha, then it goes to Rajya Sabha. Right? So in order to lower the burden of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha also has been given this power that bills can be introduced in Rajya Sabha. After getting passed from Rajya Sabha, they can send it to Lok Sabha. So they enjoy co-equal powers. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha enjoys co-equal powers in terms of legislative powers. Okay. Now, when we talk about legislative powers, then we can understand that legislature, Lok Sabha, almost they have the maximum number of members in the Lok Sabha, though the power is shared with the Rajya Sabha also. So, how the process goes on? What is the process of getting the bill passed and making it into an act? Like bills can be introduced in either house. Suppose, for example, a bill is introduced in Lok Sabha. I'm talking about the ordinary bill. The bill which is introduced in Lok Sabha, after getting it passed from Lok Sabha, okay, it is sent to Rajya Sabha. It is sent to Rajya Sabha. If they pass it, if they consider it, then okay, there is no problem at all. Suppose, for example, if they rejects or returns the bill back to Lok Sabha with certain amendment, and after that also Lok Sabha reconsiders and passes it again and sends back to Rajya Sabha, then Rajya Sabha definitely will clear it and they will send it to the president. Suppose in the second case, if Rajya Sabha, after getting it passed from Lok Sabha, after considering the bill from Lok Sabha also, okay, if Rajya Sabha refuses to pass the bill, then deadlock arises. Bill is passed from Lok Sabha, but it is not passed in Rajya Sabha, then deadlock arises. Okay, if deadlock goes beyond 6 months, if the deadlock is moving beyond 6 months, if the bill remains unresolved for 6 months, then definitely there is another option that President will summon both the houses. President will summon both the houses for a joint sitting. President will summon means to call both the houses to look into the bill so that it can be passed as soon as possible. So the joint session is summoned by the president and it is presided over by the speaker. So as you know that in a joint sitting, the majority of members of Lok Sabha are higher, that definitely the Lok Sabha dominates the So finally what is seen over here, that in a joint sitting the bill gets passed and then it is sent to the president, and president assents the bill. Assent means president signs the bill, and from that day it becomes a act. That is the entire process of legislation. The same way, if the bill is introduced in Rajya Sabha, entire detailed study, first reading, second reading, third reading, entire process, debate, discussion has taken place in Rajya Sabha, then it is sent to Lok Sabha. So already everything is done by Rajya Sabha, so it saves time for Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha then and there clears the bill from Lok Sabha and it is sent to the president. President assents it, and then it becomes a act. So there also even the president also has the right to return back the bill to the originating house with certain amendments. So if that is done by the president in case, then once again the bill is to be considered and it is passed from the both houses, and then it has to be sent back to the president, and president will sign it, and after that it becomes a act. So it is not very difficult to understand the legislative powers of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In simple words, bills can be introduced in either house. Once it is been passed from both the houses, it is sent to the president. So once the president assents the bill, signs the bill, it becomes an act. This is the legislative power of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Suppose, for example, if you are asked about what is the function of Lok Sabha separately, the same thing you have to include. If you are asked to write about Rajya Sabha separately, you can include both. Okay, so both enjoys co-equal powers. Okay. So that is all about the legislative power. So now the executive functions of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So let us now discuss about executive functions. So you know that executives are born out of the parliament, out of the Lok Sabha. So the members of the parliament, those who are in majority, right, they form the government, and within the government the prime minister is there, the ministers are there, council of ministers are there, they are the executives. Okay, so what role do Lok Sabha play in this executive field? So you can say that executive, I mean Lok Sabha controls over the executive. That means Lok Sabha has a complete control over the executive. Suppose if they don't work properly, okay, if the majority is not proved in the Lok Sabha, then the government has to resign. Okay, if a vote of no confidence is passed against a minister or a prime minister or a government, the entire government has to resign. Right? So Lok Sabha controls over the executive through different methods, like a debate is there, discussion is there, question hour is there, right? By passing a vote of no confidence, and different motions are there, censure motion is there, adjournment motions, lot of motions are there in the Lok Sabha. So that way the executives are controlled by the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. So, but one thing we must understand that in terms of Rajya Sabha, government is not formed in Rajya Sabha, but most of the ministers are also from Rajya Sabha. So debate, discussion, all these things takes place in Rajya Sabha also. Like in the present scenario, we see that most of the ministers are from Rajya Sabha also. In the previous terms, like in the Congress government, Manmohan Singh was the member of Rajya Sabha. Right? So now it has been, before it was there that the Prime Minister must be from Lok Sabha, but that completely has been broken down. So Prime Minister definitely should belong to Lok Sabha, but that myth has been broken down, because from last many terms we have seen that the member of Rajya Sabha also had become the Prime Minister of our country. So you know that the ministers are responsible to the Lok Sabha, right? The entire council of ministers are responsible to Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha controls over the executive. So regarding executive functions, we can say that Lok Sabha controls over the executive through different ways, like vote of no confidence is there, question hour, debate, discussions are there. If the government is not working properly, then they can be removed to the process of by passing a vote of no confidence. Okay, if the majority is not at all been proved in the Lok Sabha, if the government is short of majority, then definitely the government will fall down. So these are some of the functions of executive functions of a Lok Sabha. But this we can talk directly regarding Lok Sabha, but Rajya Sabha has not been given much executive powers in this field. Okay. Now next one we will discuss about the financial powers. So Lok Sabha members are elected directly by the people. So definitely who holds the purse? That means the elected, the members who are elected directly, they can hold the entire monetary control in their hands. So regarding the financial functions, what we can say is that there are two types of bill. The first one we discussed about was ordinary bill, and another one is known as the money bill. Money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. As we are discussing about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha together, so I'll make it clear to you all that money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. So what is the role of Rajya Sabha in this field? Rajya Sabha has very little role to play in the financial matter of the parliament. So let me tell you, money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay, so once the bill is passed from Lok Sabha, it can be sent to Rajya Sabha for consideration, just to have a look what the financial bill has to talk about. So money bill can be sent to Rajya Sabha. From here we can understand that Rajya Sabha has no role. Rajya Sabha has nothing to do with it. They just can go through it. They cannot refuse, they cannot reject, they cannot send with amendment. If they can send with amendment, then if it is considered, well and good. But though they don't have this power in this matter, so Rajya Sabha has nothing to do with the money bill. So they can keep the bill for 14 days. Rajya Sabha can keep the bill for 14 days. So after 14 days, if it is not sent back to Lok Sabha, then it will be considered as being passed by Rajya Sabha. Then it will be sent to the President, and President will send it, and then financial bill. That means the money bill also will get it passed. Okay. So this is about the financial functions of a Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In the financial field, my dear, Lok Sabha is all in all powerful. Rajya Sabha has nothing to do with. They can only keep the bill for 14 days. After that, it will be considered as being passed by Rajya Sabha. 14 days, only 14 days they can keep it. Okay, so you cannot say, in the beginning I told you they enjoy co-equal powers, but here they don't enjoy co-equal powers, right? Money bill, ordinary bill can be introduced in either house. Any of the ordinary bill apart from money bill, it can be introduced in either house, right? But money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. And Rajya Sabha can keep the bill for 14 days only. So that much is all about the financial powers of the parliament of our country. No money bill can be introduced in Rajya Sabha. That must be clear to us. Okay. So this is all about financial function of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Okay, suppose if you are separately asked the functions of Rajya Sabha, so legislative powers, it will be same, right? And executive powers, little bit change. Rajya Sabha has nothing much to do with executive powers, but financial matter, you can say that in terms of financial matter, Rajya Sabha has nothing to do. Money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Okay, they can, if the bill is sent to Rajya Sabha, they can go through it. They can keep the bill for 14 days only. After that, they don't have any such powers. Okay. Now the next one we have is judicial powers. Next one we have is judicial powers. So you know that Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha enjoys co-equal powers in this field also. Like in terms of impeaching the president of our country, the Supreme Court judges and the High Court judges, right? Impeachment can be, impeachment process can take place in the either house. If a Lok Sabha imposes an allegation on the president, then Rajya Sabha will investigate it. If Rajya Sabha imposes an allegation, then Lok Sabha will investigate it. So that is all about the impeachment process, which we have discussed in the earlier classes. So that is all about judicial functions of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. That means Lok Sabha, process of impeachment can be introduced in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So both the consent of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are required in order to impeach a president. Okay, it alone with the members of Rajya Sabha can pass a resolution for the removal of judges of Supreme Court. Both has to go together. It is not that Rajya Sabha can do whatever they like in terms of judicial field. No, both has to go together. Okay, so this is all about from the judicial powers of the judicial functions of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So you can see only difference we get it over here, financial matter. Rest everything is same. Okay, now electoral functions. Electoral functions of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. As you know that the members of Lok Sabha, members of Rajya Sabha, both they elect the president of our country, the vice president of our country, right? And if you talk about Lok Sabha, after the general election, the members of Lok Sabha elect the speaker and the deputy speaker, right? If you talk about Rajya Sabha, then Rajya Sabha elect the vice chairperson of the country, but that is not we are going to discuss. So here we are going to discuss about is that both wherever they are involved. So in case of electing the president and the vice president, both are involved. Both the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are involved in the election of the president as well as the vice president. These are the electoral functions of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay. And separately also Lok Sabha elect the speaker and the Rajya Sabha elects the chairperson of the Lok Sabha. That is all about electoral function. Okay. Now the next one is constituent function. Next one is constituent function. So in the first class itself, second class itself, I told you about the functions. That is also similar to that. Constituent function means amendment. Whenever there is an amendment required in the constitution, then both has to move together. Okay, that means constitution amendment bill can be introduced in either house of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Okay, but it will be considered passed only when both the houses pass it with the identical terms and in accordance with the provision mentioned down in article number 368 of the constitution. In 368 of the constitution, certain provisions are there. That provision has to be fulfilled by both. Then only the amendment can be taken. Amendment can be done. Okay. And Lok Sabha and as well as Rajya Sabha, my dear, can together amend all parts of the bill. All parts of the bill which is mentioned down in the article of the constitution, except those bills. Except those amendment cannot be done where the role of the state legislatures are also involved. Like certain bills are there in which the half of the state's legislatures approval is also required, right? So there they have to take the consent and approval of the state governments also. Okay, so this is all about the constituent functions of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So this is all about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha together. So you will not be asked separately like what are the functions of Lok Sabha, what are the functions of Rajya Sabha. They will ask you to compare. They will ask you to compare either Lok Sabha or the House of Representatives or Rajya Sabha or the Senate. So to understand, to make a comparison in a better way, we need to understand these functions. So once we understand these functions, okay, it will be easy for us to compare both the houses. Okay, hope you all have understood it. Okay, please go through it once again. So in the next class, I will teach you about the functions of a House of Representatives and the Senate, and why is Senate known as the most powerful house, most powerful second chamber of the world. So that also we'll discuss. Okay, so you have to wait for the next class. So please till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.